All right, good morning. I'm Stephanie Kales, and I am with the North Carolina Council on Economic Education. I'm here with my colleague, Tori Yauk, and today we're here with Sonya Rorie, who is a member of the North Carolina Association of CPAs and works as a Client Relations Director in Charlotte. So Sonya, thanks so much for being with us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and so with that, I'll just jump into our first question. So I feel like a lot of people have heard of compound interest, but don't really feel like they need to understand how that works because they're never really planning to invest or maybe apply it to their daily life. But can you explain why understanding compound interest is important when you're creating a financial plan?
Yes, absolutely. Compound interest is probably the most important. And why that's important is, your money is working for itself. So, it's a long-term game. And what it means with compound interest is if you were to invest, $1,000 and then that money earns you $70 at the end of the year because of interest it's earned every month. And if you don't withdraw that $70, the next year you have $1,070 to invest. And that's money that you made over the long term that you didn't do anything for, that your money was working for you. So the return that you're getting is generating its own return. So it's that concept of you're making money while you're asleep. So, and what it does is it magnifies as time goes on. It just increases and increases and increases. So what you want to do with compound interest is start early and do it often. It's being disciplined. And it's, people think when they have to invest these large sums of money. No, you just have to start small and let that money grow. I mean, when you see people that are wealthy in this industry and around the world, they're investing. And if you're not investing, you're having missed opportunities. So, compound interest is the magic that is out there. And if you don't participate, you're missing out on some great opportunities.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So our next question kind of changes direction a little bit, and it's more talking about managing credit. And so could you please explain to me a few ways that I can use credit in my household?
Absolutely. And credit is actually a good thing. I know it gets a bad rap, and it gets a bad rap because it's misused. But credit is one of the things that you actually need in this society. When you are, a young person and then you transition into adulthood, credit is one of the things that you'll need to establish to be able to be an adult that is independent. When you want to get in an apartment, you want to get a car, or you want to buy any of those large purchases for your home, a lot of those require you to have credit. And if you don't have credit, then your credit score is even lower and you pay more for things than other people do. So credit establishes a good foundation for you to be able to say, for companies to be able to say, I trust you with your money, you're responsible, you pay it back. And establishing good credit gives you the foundation to make you pay for less for things than other people do. So I want people to know that all credit is not bad. It's only when you misuse the credit that you're given.
Absolutely, thank you.
That's a great point. So speaking of different ways that you can use credit, I've seen a lot on websites lately, this thing called Afterpay or, getting a 0% interest for, spreading your payments out for something. Should I use credit to pay for things like that when I'm buying things online or even in a store?
Again, credit can be a good thing, but you have to be responsible. I think Afterpay and 0% or even getting your first credit card and establishing your credit is a good thing because it shows that you're responsible with your money. And like you say, in order for you to be able to get some of those bigger things later in life, to be able to get the house, the cars, the furniture, you need to be able to establish credit. So those are good, quick, and easy ways to establish the credit. But what you have to do is not abuse them. Don't get more credit than what you can handle. If you feel, and don't get a credit line that is way more exceeding anything that you could possibly handle to get yourself into some trouble. When I was in college, when you go to college, you step out on campus and there are loads of people out there to give you credit cards. And if you don't have these conversations now about how credit affects you, you can get into some real big trouble. So they were approving me for credit cards saying, I'm 18 years old and saying, oh, you can get a $2,000 credit line. And I elected to get a credit card that was only $300, something that I knew that if I maxed out, then I would be able to pay. So you want to get yourself in a position where you're establishing credit, that you're showing responsible, but you don't want to back yourself into a corner and where you have too much credit and have overextended yourself that you're making things difficult for you later.
That's such a
That's a
good
great
point.
point.
And so my question next, it's still related on, regarding credit, but my question is, what is the potential risk to my financial plan if I get too much credit, or if I do abuse the credit, even if it's cheap money, like, I guess, what's the cost of cheap money?
Yeah, so it's all money is not good money, right? You know, if I have a job, that I'm making $30,000 a year, there's no reason why I need to have a credit line that is, $20,000. You're putting yourself in a position to your disadvantage. And like you say, too much credit affects your credit score. And the number one thing that gets a lot of people in trouble with their credit is missing a payment. So you don't want to get yourself at a point where you've established too much credit, maxed your credit out so much that you miss a payment. So you can have that's the number one thing that creditors will look at and say, oh, you missed a payment. You're now a risky person. It doesn't matter that you paid the last 5 to 10 times. When you miss that payment, they're saying you're now risky. And it affects your credit score dramatically when you miss that one payment. So it can drop 20 or 30 points. And if you're in a position where you want to now buy a house or buy a car, and like I said before, now the interest rate that they're going to offer you is going to be higher than they're going to give to other people with better credit scores. So you're going to pay more for that car or that house than other people do. So we want to make sure that we're establishing good credit standards, being disciplined about it, and using it, to our advantage and not to our disadvantage.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So my next question also changes a little bit of the direction, but can you explain the impact that college and career choice can have on your financial picture for, several years to come and potentially your whole life?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a struggle, in our society. There's a lot of great schools out there, but a lot of those great schools cost a lot of money. And we hear the debates now in Congress about student loan debt. Some of these top schools that you may want to attend, if you don't get a scholarship for them, then you're coming out of school with a large amount of debt that other people don't have. I mean, you can have student loan debt that is equal in amount to your rent and groceries. And again, this is part of establishing good credit, So now you're a working adult and you're facing a mount load of debt because of some of the schools that you chose. And it's not to discourage you against going to a top school, but it's understanding that, you have to weigh the cost benefit analysis of, what career choice am I choosing, and is it worth the debt that I'm about to take on to go to one of these schools? Certainly getting to Harvard, getting the debt from Harvard is almost worth it, right? Because you are almost financially secured when you come out of Harvard that you're going to be able to supplement, that income and pay off that student loan debt. But maybe you choose a school like North Carolina Chapel Hill, right? You get a good job. It's a great job, but it's not a Harvard job. And now you have a mounting amount of debt based on the school choice that you have. So those are all things that you have to think about. And I think those are conversations that you have with your parents to talk about, what is this going to look like 4 years from now? What is my debt load going to look like from the school, choice that I'm making? And also understand that following your passion, a lot of times passionate careers don't come with a lot of money, right? People that are passionate about teachers, about teaching, unfortunately, don't make a lot of money. And I think while it's, not fair, that's the reality of what happens, in social work and a lot of those things. So you have to think about your career choice and balancing that against the debt that you could create.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love what you said about thinking about it 4 years in advance, because when you're making the decision in the moment, it's like, well, this is a good decision, but thinking about what does that look like when I actually have to start making payments is definitely puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, that was our last question. So thank you again so much for your time. And I think this is going to be really useful.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm really excited about this opportunity and introducing this to teachers.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.